Guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're getting ready to pressure wash, clean off the engine bay on the 92 OBS here. As you can tell, it is pretty dirty. Yes, I do have the wires all over still, but I want to go ahead and just get all the dirt, grime, grease, oil off the truck engine bay here. Trying to make it look nice, so a little more presentable. I'm just using regular engine degreaser. Hopefully this kind of helps, take some of the old stuff that's just been sitting there for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get this cleaned up, pressure washed. That way we could go ahead and probably just let it sit and dry after for a few hours, and I could go ahead and potentially start repainting and making it look good again. Now I am going to move that little power block and the fuel pump relay out of the way. Basically, I'm going to try to move the whatever wires are there out of the way so I could basically get paint in mostly every area that I can to cover as best as we can. So we'll go ahead and just clean this off and continue from there. Alright, so I already started spraying the engine bay, and I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm just trying to get every possible area to have a nice clean surface. So I just let that sit for a while, and we'll go ahead and start pressure washing the engine bay. Alright, so I just finished pressure washing the engine bay. What I'm going to do is take the little power strip off, the relay, the little fuse, and basically bring the harness over so I can get it out of the way. I'll just let it dry and then get this ready to paint and go from there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and fast forward from the cleaning, pressure washing the engine bay, and painting. The painting was done and everything, and I'll show you that. Now it is a little dirty because we got a storm, but not only that, we have the powertrain in it already. So we have the 4L60E. The dry shaft is on, stock dry shaft. The cross member is sitting in its factory location. The fuel plumbed all the way up. The headers, and then their O2 sensors. They did put this little bracket here, that way the heat doesn't go through the wire. Transmission lines are all hooked up. The shifter's hooked up. This is the factory linkage. I just switched from this little piece to this, and it works just like factory. So that's done. Like I said, the engine powertrain is in. And everything fits like it belongs there. So what I'm gonna do now is pull the harness off, because I already made a hole on the firewall to where the harness is gonna feed through, and I just had to basically raise the truck up on the lift to unplug the O2s, which I already had everything plugged in. And purposely I was gonna take it back off because I was gonna reroute the engine harness through the firewall and then back out to the engine. Everything went pretty smooth. There's plenty of room. Like I said, the drive shaft is in its factory position. It's cross member, transmission, everything where it needs to be. The headers, they are pretty close to the transmission, but then the owner is gonna have to have pipes or exhaust be made. This one's a little bit further, but they clear. So I'm gonna go ahead and lower the truck back down. I already unplugged everything I needed to unplug to pull the harness back out. That way I could feed it, like I said, through the firewall and where it's gonna live for the rest of its life, and then start putting all the wires back in and plug everything back up. We'll continue from there. All right, guys. So as you can tell, I have made quite a bit of progress, and the engine bay is painted already. The engine is in. The AC compressor is on. This is the bracket that the owner brought me. It fits nicely. Everything there. I am doing the transmission lines because I'm doing a transmission cooler as well. So got to finish that up. But like I was mentioning, I was gonna pull the harness out all the way because if you can see down there, I made a 2-inch hole with the hole saw because this grommet deal is gonna sit there, and basically I need to feed the harness all the plug connectors through the inside of the truck out through the bottom, and then I can go ahead and feed the wire back out and then connect everything back up. I still have my few wires here that I labeled for all the functions on the cluster. As you can tell, I did put this back together. It's way less wires that we have. The block's back on. Like I said, I pulled it off to paint the bay here. Now it is dirty because we got a storm last night. So that's kind of what you see here. But yeah, it's getting pretty close. Here's my fuel line coming up. It's off the rail. I did switch injectors that he wanted to run, so I put those in. Headers are in. Temp sensor. Here is the 3-wire. I did have to get this little adapter because this was way bigger than the actual hole that the head has. And this is one of the wires that's going to go to it right there, and then the other 2 come from the actual engine harness. But I'm going to go ahead and just pull it off. That way like I said, I can feed it through the inside of the truck through that hole, and then the PCM is going to sit on the inside. And yeah, so basically that's where we're at. Got a little ahead of the game here. The engine is in. There's still quite a bit of stuff laying everywhere. There's the plug for the AC, our grounds, the starter, or not starter, sorry, the alternator wire. The truck does crank. The purple wires hooked up to the starter, and then the power from the battery, but the battery's disconnected right now. And yeah, it functions. Key on, fuel comes on, and we're getting close. So I'll just probably go ahead and feed the wires in, show you that, and that'll be pretty much it for this video, because I need to take some time to just finish smaller stuff that takes a lot of time, a lot of detail. For example, this hose is from a LS truck, or a 2003. I took the old one off. It's down there on the ground. I did have to drill, tap, and put this little port here to the water pump, because the steam port passage, it was going to be open here, since the throttle body that's going to be ran on here does not have water passage or coolant passage. So that was deleted, and then I just said drill and tap this hole. Kind of the same thing that we did on mine, but mine's, I believe it's pointing on this side, and then it's a 90 degree, and so on and so forth. So I did have a little bit of trouble with the brackets, the engine brackets. Now these are labeled, one of them has a D, one of them has a P, assuming driver, passenger, but that's the way I had put them initially, and they would not line up to the 350 motor mounts. And on my swap, it's been so long that it's been done that I didn't even remember that I had the same issue. I believe these were labeled wrong when production was going on, and I just switched. So basically the P is on this side and the D is on the driver's side. The power steering, this is the LS pump, obviously. The lines screw right on. This is the old hose from the 350. I just took it off, used it on this. It goes right on as well. I do have to change this cable, which he brought me the cable. This is a throttle cable, short, not the correct cable anymore. So that's going to be switched out. The heater hoses, as you recall, the engine, the LS engine had, I believe it was this hose. So I just ended up cutting, I think it was this end. I cut a little bit off, and it's right on. It works perfect. And then the factory one from the truck that was going to this port, I believe it was. Yeah, it was this one. I blocked it off, and then I just went ahead and put it on there, and everything fits like it belongs there. So that's pretty nice about doing these LS swaps. Everything's pretty simple and straightforward. A lot of stuff. It's crazy to think about the years. This is a 92. The engine could be 2001 and up, but how everything fits, like if it belongs in the truck, it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull the harness out and start feeding it through the inside. All right, guys, so it was quite a challenge to feed the whole harness back in through this little 2-inch hole, but we got it done. The little grommet boot, oh, come on, is on there. It's very well sealed, and technically we'll have a clean transition from firewall into the engine bay. This little piece is just going to go back on here. Got a little wire that's kind of getting caught up in there, but So it's just gonna go like that. And I am gonna put some wire loom on all these wires. That way it cleans up. It looks good. Right here I still have my RPM speed sensor wires that I'm gonna tie into with my LS harness. And I think that's gonna be pretty much it for this video. I do have to still clean this up a little more, tape these up, and put some lube on them too to clean it up. I'm gonna just put all the wires back on the engine, all the connectors and everything where it goes. Then I could probably potentially put its cover back on here. And yeah, so it'll just be little stuff to finish. Like I said, it takes a lot of time. It's just little attention to detail, minor stuff that has to be done. So I got to put the belt on. I still have to finish putting these lines on. Have to finish the transcool lines up to the transcooler there. Have to rewire the temp sensor, plug everything back up, put my fuel line on, my brake booster vacuum on, and then I have to do the throttle cable, and I'm most likely gonna have to adjust this bracket or cut it up and make it work. I'm gonna go ahead and just end off the video there. I'll just get everything situated and then continue to the next video, potentially being fired up on the next video and close to wrapping it up. Guys, thanks for watching. Tune in for the next one.